Bruce Hooley is the morning host on 105.7 The Zone, our Fox affiliate in Columbus, Ohio. His show precedes this program. We talked to Bruce yesterday and thought, well, 24 hours later, any kind of update for us, Bruce, on Urban Meyer's situation?
Well, we have an independent committee, Dan, although when I went to college, independent didn't mean that you had 3 board of trustee members on the committee, so I'm a little curious over that one, and I got to admit my eyebrows went up when I saw that one of the members on the committee is 90 years old, so I guess she must still have a lot of game to be on something this important.
And I think she's turning 91 here really soon. I don't know why that matters, but I did find it interesting when you tweeted that out, that they have somebody who's 90 years of age here. What do you think of this strategy? If it's a strategy that everybody's quiet here, and it's almost like, Ohio State's trying to go dark here, go covert, and, let's get through the weekend, let the story fade a little bit, at least nationally. Locally, you're still going to be very important, but football's here. You got practice today. Is there any logic to that kind of strategy here?
Well, I think we saw at the Big Ten kickoff luncheon, Dan, what happens when a coach goes off script and, talks candidly. Urban Meyer boxed himself into a corner.
Yeah.
He has perhaps a Title IX problem, but what he's really going to have a problem with, and what this committee, I think, is trying hard to figure out a way out of, is how can they position his absolute outright denial and dismissive nature of knowing about the 2015 domestic violence incident that was in question. And how can they position it that he wasn't lying, or, yeah, he lied, but we're okay with him lying. It's bad, but it's only bad enough for 4 games. I mean, I think there are a lot of coaches in fear of their jobs. I think there are a lot of administrators in fear of their jobs, because we're in an era where domestic violence just doesn't get any wiggle room from anybody.
You still got to prove that he knew. It feels like it's hard to prove. Is that what the committee is going to try to do, that he knew about this and did nothing about this, or didn't know about this?
I think the timing is key. You know how we always kind of read into how long a jury deliberates whether a person's guilty or innocent? I think if we get something in the way of a press conference is being called within 2 weeks, that's not good. If they go longer, that tells me they're looking at texts, emails, voicemails, trying hard to prove he didn't know. But, Dan, I got to ask you, man, football coaches work in a close environment. Wives, they vacation together, they shop together. They're essentially single parents while coaches are coaching. Do you really believe, like, a coach's wife could be abused? Other coaches' wives wouldn't know it? Or in this case, we know some of the coaches' wives knew it, including the head coach's wife. And for 3 years, she's not going to tell the head coach? I mean, do you buy that?
No.
I don't think anybody buys that.
But you still have to prove it.
That's the hurdle this committee has. But
it's still Urban Meyer, and it's not a wide receivers coach. So there's a little bit more latitude that he's going to get. I don't know if he can keep his job. Let's say they found that he lied and he did know and he didn't do anything about it. Is that going to be a fireable offense? I think that's probably what it's going to come down to.
I think you're right, and I think what this committee's trying to do is the impossible. I think they're trying to figure out a way that they can keep Urban Meyer and win the story nationally.
Yep.
They're not going to win the story nationally unless they fire him. They're going to win the story locally if they keep him. That's absolutely a certainty. The people locally don't care. They want to keep winning. They want to keep beating people 65-7. They want to keep going to the playoffs. I don't see a way they can win the story nationally, because it's domestic violence. It's the appearance of him lying. The pictures are the pictures. I just don't think there's any way they win it nationally. Now, the question is, do they care enough about not winning it nationally to give him a 3 or 4 game suspension and try to position it somewhere in the middle, perhaps win it a little bit nationally and win it locally because he stays the coach?
Yeah, I wondered about that, and I had some feedback yesterday in the coaching community, and they said don't rule out some kind of suspension for Urban. Maybe it's half the season, but then they could still keep him and still save face. Because, I was told by 2 coaches yesterday, they said this isn't about locally, this is about nationally. And you could kind of placate both sides here. And that, they said don't rule that out. I don't know if that would be precedent setting, but they didn't give Jim Tressel that opportunity. I don't know if they give Urban Meyer that opportunity.
Yeah, we're in a lot different climate now with domestic violence. It's the hot button issue, and but Urban is loved by the fans a different way than Tress. Tress was loved because of his image, but Urban, man, he satisfies the bloodlust. He doesn't just beat you 27-20. He'll beat you 57-7 if he can. And so the fans have gotten used to going to the playoffs 2 out of every 5 years. And Ohio State has this weird dynamic, Dan. They want to be Harvard in the classroom, and they want to be Alabama on the football field. And the 2 most successful coaches they've had in a long, long time, Tress and Urban, may both be headed for the same fate. And you got to ask yourself, maybe, is it incompatible being Harvard in the classroom and Alabama on the football field, because the football portion of this just keeps kind of finding interesting and bothersome ways to embarrass the university.
Why was Tressel expendable coming off a 12-1 season?
He lied to the NCAA. He lied to the school. He was a fraud, and they just finally got to the point where Sports Illustrated's cover story was the final tipping point, and they decided, the icon's important. We've tried for 5 months to keep him, but eventually the program and the school are bigger than the icon, and that's probably what they're balancing on the scales right now is, does Urban Meyer and what he gives you outweigh the consequences? And the academics and the football are not separate. Nothing drives giving like success on the football field. They love building buildings. They love attracting top professors. They love, their reputation in the academic community. And you would think, okay, well, what's football have to do with that? Man, nothing opens up the donors' pocketbooks like winning on the football field. So they got to be very careful with this. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to pull it off because very few colleges, Dan, Baylor, Louisville, Ohio State, have been able to get it right the first time on a crisis management situation like this.
Do you think anything happens here over the weekend?
No, I don't think anything happens over the weekend. I think they want to take a pause and kind of try to figure this out. And again, the longer this goes will tell me a lot what they're trying to do. I did read between the lines on the selections on this independent committee they have. One of the trustees is a consummate deal maker and a very good, bridger of gaps. So that tells me they're trying hard to keep Urban. But again, the domestic violence part of it just may make that an untenable goal to achieve.
Thank you, Bruce. We'll be in touch. We appreciate your time as always. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Dan.
That's Bruce Hooley, morning host, 105.7 The Zone, our Fox affiliate in Columbus, Ohio.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.